The other thing we must also remember, when Bougainville was in the height of the conflict, mainland Papua New Guinea did not run to its rescue. Put on a boat, a container load of potato, broccoli, and cocoa from the highlands and ship it all the way to Bougainville, because they went on dinghy all the way to Solomon Islands, to the Chosolila Islands, looking for food. So there's some degree of sensitivity we must bring to this discourse. There are a lot more Papua New Guineans now who were born in 1985 have no clue what's going on in Bougainville. There's also a good proportion of our parliamentarians have no institutional knowledge about Bougainville. I'm going to express my own personal views. This is not the Shanks and Eastern Highlands view. These are purely my own views. I think what's before Parliament today, as we speak, is the issue of the referendum. If we focus too much on the peripheral issues, the fear that Bougainville goes down the road of independence, all of a sudden the island will be transferred into a suitcase and taken in a plane and disappears. It's not going to happen like that. Bougainville will still remain a strategic interest for Papua New Guinea. I think that we all must understand. Some of the issues that we are going to be inundated with prior to you people going back to Parliament and presenting your views will be the issues about autonomy, what degree do you go, how far can you go in terms of fiscal authority, taxation, how to raise money. It's not only a question for Bougainville, it's also a question for the 22 other provinces as well. And at this point in time, at this critical juncture, my view is that this Parliament should allow the referendum to proceed to Parliament in its original form. And I want to just throw a word of caution. If you deny the referendum, you have to go back to the Bougainvilleans on the island and apologize to the youngest, to the oldest. You're going to apologize to the Piginini, Yambla Man, Yambla Piginini. Don't forget, when the conflict started in 1985, here we are 40 years later, 1985. The first 20 years, no Bougainvillean went to school who was born in 1985, who was of school age. That's something we all must not forget. The other thing we must also remember, when Bougainville was in the height of the conflict, mainland Papua New Guinea did not run to its rescue. Put on a boat, a container load of potato, broccoli, and cocoa from the highlands and ship it all the way to Bougainville, because they went on dinghy all the way to Solomon Islands, to the Chosolila Islands, looking for food. So there's some degree of sensitivity we must bring to this discourse. There are a lot more Papua New Guineans now who were born in 1985 have no clue what's going on in Bougainville. There's also a good proportion of our parliamentarians have no institutional knowledge about Bougainville. It's just a passing comment. So, esteemed colleagues, my message to you guys is this. If you procrastinate, or let me say it this way, procrastination is not a policy. You have to do something as sensible leaders of Parliament. The onus is yours. When you get back, you have to go and emphatically tell the Parliament, this is what it is. I think the first thing you ought to do, and you have to show compassion to the people of Papua New Guinea and to the greater Papua New Guineans that we are, that you are men enough to accept the referendum. Bring the referendum on and accept the results of the referendum. The issue of independence is not going to be resolved the moment you guys accept the referendum. It is a long process. How it was, it requires good leadership from you lot to go and sit down with our counterparts in Bougainville. You will sit down with them more and articulate. The other problem we seem to have since the problem manifested in 1985 and coming up to 2002 when I was in Parliament, we have a very dismal record in attending to Bougainville issues. Like in Manilo Road, you guys are too slow. Or like in Manilo School, you guys are too slow. I'm always looking something. There's no sensitivity towards the Bougainville cause. So the longer it persists, the gulf between the Bougainvilleans and Papua New Guineans is wider. How do you bridge that divide? All Mantuya, all Salo Wokata, only got family too. I don't think it's the intention to break away. Intention blown is a culmination of so many unresolved issues which the buck should stop at Parliament because of our insensitivity. Now, something, my esteemed colleagues, I want to say this. This is a different country now, Papua New Guinea today. It's not the same. There's not a national conversation about who we are as Papua New Guineans. We are so fractured. I'm happy to tell you people, we are so fractured. We have become little tribes trying to run this country. And you play, from where I stand, I've been watching you play. Just look at the way you appropriate money, your development grants. Certain provinces getting all the money and the rest of us are getting peanuts. How do you propose to control Bougainville when your attitude is like this? This is not a tribal country. It belongs to all of us. The moment you sit down, go and think, and try and resolve some of these issues, and it starts with Parliament. You must be united as Papua New Guineans. There must be equity in the way you do things. Bougainville remains an integral part of PNG. It's not a sideshow. It's not a periphery. It's the critical thing. And Sepuka talks threat. Bougainville is an existential threat. But let's not fear the referendum. If you delay and procrastinate, you might as well, all of you, the 122, 119 of you, jump on the plane and go to Bougainville, start from Small Buka, go down to Buin, and apologize to every one of them. People are going to talk so long. The onus is on you. I'm not going to dwell too much into the peripheral issues because it's going to affect the country. I think as parliamentarians, as leaders, the onus is on you people to make the right decision. And that is, first and foremost, accept the referendum. Your message to the Prime Minister is to bring the referendum to Parliament, have a debate on it, accept the results of the referendum. After you accept the results, there won't be any independence tomorrow. They're not going to drift away. It is up to you guys to work, and you've got to earn their respect. And it means if you make commitments to help Bougainville, be serious. Because starting in 2002 or up to now, it's about 30 or 40 years, I have not seen any genuine empathy for the people of Bougainville. My lasting comments before I leave is this. Our government is having a hard time trying to look after the entire country. That's a fact. It's having a difficult time trying to please everyone and trying to resuscitate Bougainville or trying to acquiesce to Bougainville. That's a difficult act to follow. I'm from the Eastern Islands. I don't know what happens in Western Islands and out there. You are running governments. I don't have to go in there. But I'll be honest. Also, people are brother and I'm talking people. Politics cannot be tribal. It must be based on equity, love, empathy, respect. We all Papua New Guineans. And if you have that mentality, I'm pretty sure, I'm confident you can solve the Bougainville. This idea that they will be independent, it's a fear that you may cultivate. It's the way we talk about it. The other thing, Papua New Guineans need to be educated. Who Bougainvilleans are? Just briefly, 1985, conflict there started. 1965, when Bougainville started operation, there was only one mine carrying Papua New Guinea, the entire nation. 40% of GDP came from only one mine. Now we got how much mine? Only one mine carried the entire nation. For every 1 kilo produced in this country, 40 toya kamlo Bougainville. Pograi no stop it. Octedi no stop. All their mines and Kutubui no stop it. Bougainville. And Karim Yumi kamlo independence. And make sure Hausik Blue Milo Highlands and make sure all school Blue Milo. We owe them a debt of gratitude, fellas. Be honest and be upfront. Conflict come up, you may all get a salad nature block. It's the way we deal with issues locally. You play around with landowners, this is what you will get. You play around with the environment, this is what. The Bougainvillean citizens made a huge contribution to nation building. They should not be looked at in disgust. All Karim Yumia, just like people Eastern Highlands, Karim Papua New Guinea, Bekofie, all Karim. And what's me, I have empathy for them. Just a personal comment, Nabi, please. I went to Bougainville on 2017 on the campaign. After me round, looking Bougainville from north to south, we come back. On my way back to most, I met a businessman from Bougainville, a small book. He sat me down and kiram nam also. Bire, before you go, Mila story little you. Mila talking 1 plus something long. And that always stuck with me, resonated well with me, and me killing me on one side. I'm told, time conflict started, I'm told, you stop with. That's what he asked. You stop with. You can sell him some banana, na tapioca, na cocoa. You know, sir. All the recipes I come here. And you know, I put in some black cocoa, sip, na salim kam small book. Na me black sim na salim go around all family. You play rich country, yeah, mainland. You play me, na black around roading, na me black okay, talo some on islands. Na mi blago kay bus banana na bus tapio. So you thinking good. You plus it good, na mi black simba. There's an emotional cost for this conflict that must not be overlooked. So gentlemen, thank you very much. You plus choosing Goroka and Hakam. And these are my views. You don't have to accept my views. And it's not a deliberate. Talk me like, total skin believe lots of people film no good nego. Because Bougainville, that I have a lot of respect and love for their people. And I think this love story and touching me in an emotional way and also in a very strategic way. Questioning my ability as a member of parliament. What should we really do for Bougainville? And then I realized that if we don't attend to the Bougainville issue, we will also fracture from within. And before it's too late, people all gotta come together. People are going. I think it's important that you bring the referendum issue. I think the conversation from me to you guys, your gentlemen, is when you get back. My view is that bring the referendum. There shouldn't be any excuses. Bring it forward and accept the results of the referendum. The thing you must not underestimate is the people of Bougainville, they have empathy for us. It's a two-way thing. They want to see how we can respond. If we respond in the way they like, respond with love and empathy, I think it will work tremendously for the country as a whole. And Papua New Guineans generally are watching. And the other issue that perhaps should be foremost in your agenda is to cultivate a national discussion about Bougainville so that educated Papua New Guineans are fully aware the historical context, the present, and what holds for the future. Those are my comments. Thank you very much. And if you might excuse me, because I came here, you said 10 o'clock. I've been here longer, and I say you remember said delay, and miss out. If you could excuse me, I'll be out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Before I excuse you to go out through the door, I want to say thank you. All that you said is recorded, and we will have the time to dissect, interpret everything you said.
These are my own words.
Very important, very important.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, leaders. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Bire, before you go, as you know, that Bougainville, the conflict, it's not just because all those deaths. It's not just caused by PNG Defense Force, but also a lot of internal conflict. So, do you really believe that there is enough peace and reconciliation, done between former combatants, the communities at large? Because there are many stories or witness statements when they come in. They have nothing to do with the conflict, but they also been affected so badly. So there are a lot of reconciliations, to be done within the region itself. That's like, do you feel that there is sufficient, reconciliation done? One, two, I just want to use your wisdom to understand, like, how can we use this Bougainville process to strengthen democracy, inclusiveness, and decentralization in PNG? Like, what experience do we gain? You have already talked about that financial, it's not just the Bougainville issue, but for every other, provinces which are, we're also seeking the same decentralization of financial autonomy, in terms of looking after our law and order and education. So how do we learn from this experience?
Thank you. In response to your first question, I probably would say this. The PNG government is the elephant in the room. Stop worrying about the combatants making peace. You go there and do what you're supposed to do. They'll find a resolve to make peace from within. You can't get an outsider to go to Bougainville and talk to like I'm broken sugar na, you drink sugar na, you killing pig na, you talk sorego. You, as more mature, you build roads, you build schools, you develop the economy. As the economy moves on, there will be little room for animosity, there'll be little room for anger and so forth, because they'll be galvanized towards something that's new. Don't forget, from 1985, kids who were 5 years old, school age, six or seven, from 1985, when the conflict started, they've never been to school. Please, you have to be clear about it. They've never been to school since 1985. And for a better part of 20 years, they're all uneducated. What do we say to them? Why you go to sorrow alone? So I think in terms of the unresolved issues, in terms of the combatants on the ground, I think from the PNG government's season, I don't see any way you can resolve this. The only way you can go is be the father, be the mother in the room. Sevim keke, walk him around. Kisimol pikinikan, totoku, walk him school. They'll find it within them. And don't isolate the churches too. I think they have a role to play. Your second question, Governor, you asked me about autonomy.
Learning from their experience. Their experience, how do we treat other provinces, like, in terms of decentralizing functions and all?
That's a good proposition you're taking up for communal discussion. My view is that the country is too big, it's overgoverned. When I say it's too big, I don't mean population big. It's small population, but the government is too heavy on top. We've got 3 tiers of government. President Blow, Enga provincial government, he spoke about the funding he's not getting. And that's something you guys haven't resolved. And you can resolve that through autonomy, giving them financial powers. The fiscal envelope has to be widened enough. But the other thing you have is the burden of governance is too high. You've got so many provinces, small island, close to 9 million population, small island. Some of them should be amalgamated. Eastern Islands should go back and get Simbo and become one province. Hela and Enga and the Southern Islands should be one. Why are you guys splitting up? So we cut down the bureaucracy. So you got legal cost on administration. And then we go back to the Australian system. We have not resolved the provincial government system. It's still unconstitutional. It functions in name only. But in terms of autonomy, power no got it. If you give, for instance, Governor Ipatas to make all the laws that he needs to make in terms of mining, distribution of wealth, royalty, there you go. That's the way. We should not fear. Government should still collect company tax. But in terms of these other taxes, it should be collected from the source. Give them the autonomy. Let them decide how they can run the country, a share of the GST. So the lesson going forward is that we've got too many small countries in one big country. You belong to the country. Enga you country. Eastern Islands country. Western Islands some country. We've got to start thinking about doing things differently. Have a good look at the provincial government. It must not be missed on everyone in this room. Total independence, yeah. You know, Nubla something. Bougainville started it in the late 60s. Although online chairman, parliamentary committee chairman, online blood all started. We'll call him Matangren Association. Although like I'm up independent. There's a great gentleman by the name of Matthias Tolima. And then he goes aside from me to Blapukalo, Central Province. He comes from Stromla Mary, Josephina Baija, and leader of Papua, Besenambu, and wants to cut up the half country. Come Papua. So this thing is not new. But if you can look at the autonomy in terms of governance, and then you can work from there, I think our people are mature enough. The cost of bureaucracy shouldn't be too big. It's heavy-handed lotop. And the District Development Authority, too, is something that you guys will have to review because it's unconstitutional. If you have to use Bougainville as a launching pad to fix all the problems in Papua New Guinea, you have to look at these arrangements of government. That's number one. And finally, just to give you something to think about before you go back to Port Moresby. We can't continue with a unicameral system of government. You plus have a cabinet, na you plus have one blah party, na you plus have parliament can, you plus put in bill, blue plan, appropriation, you plus running country, yeah? Why can't we have another chamber called a bicameral chamber? 2 chambers so we can vet all the appropriations, please. So that there is fairness and equity in the way we do things. Right now, you play it, yeah? You play one party controlling country. You plus have a cabinet, you plus have a parliament, you plus put in budget, you play it, approve it. You have the numbers. You don't have another oversight. That's something, if you want to save this country in terms of going forward. And when you discuss autonomy, you cannot discuss autonomy without parliamentary democracy as well. And I think some discussion has to be focused on the kind of parliament we ought to have. 50 years now, we're not going to persist with a broken system. So these are my few comments. Thank you very much. Please don't ask me another one because I'm just
last one. Additional house, is it not over-governed? Are we not going to spend more money? Talking about additional house. Of course, I understand fairness and equity.
You got all the 22 or 23 governors. So you take the governor for Southern Islands, the governor for, and put them up in the upper chamber. So you save money that way. So they have a different sitting arrangement. You pass your budget, or including you, I forgot, you should be up there as well. So you play triple sit on top now, online double also play money or selling budget come, you blow some passing blow stealing money on say you blow stopping la hap. Selling budget go back and loan. I think we've got to be mature and think like that. That way you'll save problems from coming out later. All money. Papa ni kini total money taso you blow remember misuse money. Em total blow lo you blow tas lo money taso. You know, total one block plus some people, okay? Monitas. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bire. You are granted leave of absence now.